Meher Baba ki jai. Ashok, you want to read the seven
Yeah,
realities?
I will. Avatar
Sure.
Baba ki Jai. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following seven realities. One, the only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. Two, the only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. Three, the only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. Four, the only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. 5. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward, when compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you. So, I think we get started on a grim note as India is, I think, going through a situation that has gotten worse in the last 1 week. The second wave is really hitting us far worse than it was before. So, uh, let's all pray and hope for Baba to uh, give relief and make improve the situation from where it is. And of course, prayers for all of us in this group as well to continue to stay safe. Yeah. So the a couple of updates before we continue on the reading. So we had two things planned for today. One was the assignment where we wanted examples for each of the scenarios, each of the types of violence. And second, we wanted to take up questions for it. So we did some work. Both Ashok did a lot of work on classification of the types of violence, and I think we'll discuss that today. But Kama and Kama felt that finally this is linked to action and inaction. So we will read the action and inaction chapter and then come back to this, right? So that's what is the proposal. So I will start with uh, uh, the reading of action and inaction, and then we'll come back to this. Or should we do the scenarios discussed first?
Karthik.
Kama, very strangely and unwittingly, I think your video is on.
Okay.
Strange because you never switch it on.
Uh, Karthik,
Yeah.
uh, I suggest that we read the inaction and action first.
Okay. Sure.
This is my
Done.
suggestion. I am open to everybody, I mean, whatever they feel. But
Yeah. So in the little exercise that he did in classification and the discussion that Ashok and Kaman had as well, they see a deep link between violence and non-violence, the two chapters, and action and inaction itself. Because even if you notice in the two chapters, for those of you who read in detail during the week, you see reference to action and right action in the two chapters. So with that, let's just go and read action in action. Requesting again for all mute mics to be muted.
Just one more observation, Karthik, and then I'll mute. Also, the question of intelligent action and unintelligent action, and the classification of action, which we have discussed and Kama had pointed out. I think even that would have a relevance somewhere.
Of course, of course. So we had discussed that at length, and we had also tried visualizing that. We'll bring that up after we finish reading. Yeah. Okay. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Physical book, page 76, Action and Inaction. All action, except that which is intelligently designed to attain God realization, creates
Karthik,
yeah.
Karthik, your page is 69 showing.
No, it's 76.
Wow. Then I have some problem. Okay, go ahead.
The physical books show 69. You're on mute. Okay.
It shows 76 physical book.
Okay, thank you. So it is 76. I'll start again. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. All action, except that which is intelligently designed to attain God realization, creates a binding for consciousness. It is not only an expression of accumulated ignorance, but a further addition to that accumulated ignorance. Forms and ceremonies are sidetracks on path. Religious forms and ceremonies, as well as rituals and injunctions of different creeds and spiritual institutions, have a tendency to encourage the spirit of love and worship. As such, they are helpful to a limited extent in wearing out the ego shell in which human consciousness is caught. But if they are unintelligently and mechanically followed, the inner spirit of love and worship gets dried up. Then they only result in hardening the ego shell rather than wearing it out. Therefore, rituals and ceremonies cannot carry man very far on the spiritual path. And if they're unintelligently followed, they create as much binding as any other unintelligent action. Deprived of all inner life and meaning, they might be said to be even more dangerous than other forms of unintelligent action because man pursues them with the belief that they are helpful for God realization, whereas in fact they are far from being helpful. Owing to this element of self delusion, lifeless forms and ceremonies become sidetracks on the path. Often, through mere force of habit, man becomes so attached to these external forms that he cannot be disillusioned about their imaginary value except through intense suffering. Life seeks freedom from self created entanglement. In many ways, inaction is preferable to unintelligent action, for it has at least the merit of not creating further sanskaras and complications. Even good and righteous action creates sanskaras and means one more addition to the complications created by past actions and experiences. All life is an effort to attain freedom from self created entanglement. It is a desperate struggle to undo what has been done in ignorance. to throw away the accumulated burden of the past and to find rescue from the debris left behind by a series of temporary achievements and failures. Life seeks to unwind the limiting sanskaras of the past and to obtain release from the mazes of its own making so that its further creations may spring directly from the heart of eternity and bear the stamp of unhampered freedom and intrinsic richness of being that knows no limitation. Inaction often necessary stage. Action that helps in attaining God is truly intelligent and spiritually fruitful because it brings release from bondage. It is second only to that action that springs spontaneously from the state of God realization itself. All other forms of action, however good or bad, however effective or ineffective from a worldly point of view, contribute towards bondage and are inferior to inaction. Inaction is less helpful than intelligent action, but it is better than unintelligent action, for it amounts to the non doing of that which would have created a binding. The movement from unintelligent action to intelligent action, that is, from binding karma to non binding karma, is often through inaction. This is characteristic of the stage where unintelligent action has stopped because of critical doubt, but intelligent action has not yet begun because no adequate momentum has arisen. This special type of inaction, which plays its part in progress on the path, should in no way be confused with ordinary inaction, which springs from inertia or fear of life. So it's 2
Jai
pages.
Baba. It's
Jai
Gita
Baba.
summarized in 2 pages. That's what I felt.
Exactly.
That's what I felt.
Yeah. It is the guide to action in
Yes.
two pages, but very difficult to put in practice. Very profound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The famous shloka of Karmane Vadikaraste. So
correct. That comes to mind.
it's explained here and that comes to mind.
Yes. So, any other thoughts? Any questions?
The stages of different types of action are ordinary inaction or inertia or fear of life. That is the basal ground level. Then the
Correct.
unintelligent action, which is binding. Then inaction,
Correct.
which is better, it is non-binding.
Correct.
The ultimate one is the intelligent action, which is spiritually. So these are the different stages that I have identified or observed.
Yeah. So if you see, we did this exercise last time where we put this together. If you recollect, that's exactly what you're saying, right? So
Yes.
the one is the best position to be, ASSGRP. Yeah, that should go to the acronym list now. Then you have intelligent action, and then you have the intelligent action between stages 2 and 3, and then you have unintelligent action, rituals, prayers also, and at the bottom is inertia, right? Unintelligent inaction, right? So this is any questions on this, especially those of you going through this for the first time. We spent quite a lot of time last time on this small chapter. So those of you going through this for the first time, please feel free to jump in and ask some questions. So this had before that we had one slide here, right? So if you look at classification of action and inaction, first you had spiritual and less spiritual, right? So both unintelligent action and unintelligent inaction are often without any awareness about the spiritual. Uh, uh, I mean, it's just basically in ignorance, in total ignorance. And then as you get into intelligent action, intelligent inaction, and then finally get to the gift of grace and get to the ASSGRP, that's where you will. I mean, all those three are spiritual. So that's how we summarized this chapter last time around. So, any questions? Any comments?
The questions is that the seclusion, ekantavas, what we call, is that can be called intelligent inaction? Does it serve that purpose?
Good question. It is surely not it is not unintelligent action. It is helping in spiritual progress as confirmed by Baba, as it helps dissolve the sanskaras. So yes, it is. Others?
It is
Any
more
other?
wise than intelligent. It's wise. More, the word wise would be better because intelligent can fail, wiseness does not. So it's a wise decision.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. We will use the word that is in the book. So in that category,
Yeah.
it falls into that. Yeah. That sense, what you're saying is also right. Yeah. That is why they say you need a time of solitude during the day, which is very tough to find these days. But that's the recommendation for the aspirants.
True. I think prayer and extended time around prayer, do some meditation, some seclusion is a good spiritual practice. And all masters kind of refer to that, right? So, but I know today's life's so busy. Anyway, so please internalize this. And if you have questions, we can, of course, discuss. And it's important that people get comfortable with this very, very clearly, right? Each time we are doing anything, we are actually doing one of the four. I mean, one of the five, but I'm saying one of the four because I am surely not in stage one. Okay, so yeah, so as far as we can do the right thing as often, we are in a better position. Kama, do you want to summarize this chapter?
Yeah, Jai Baba. I think whatever everyone has said, is corresponds to this reading of discourses. Basically, my suggestion would be that, as Sanjay said, meditation, that is definitely intelligent in action, what he said, because you're not doing anything and you're focusing on, on your inner being, like contemplation, introspection, reflection, because intelligent inaction and unintelligent inaction can be very confusing. Suppose you are watching, I think all these concepts, we need to use analogies and real life examples to understand the concept behind the terminologies, like we did for spending sanskaras, unwinding sanskaras, winding sanskaras. So similarly, I struggled with this chapter, action in action, for a very long time. And then I said we have to put it in a mathematical sense. Similarly, the violence and non-violence also, if you just read it as a qualitative subject, but if you put it in a way that Ashok has done on a spreadsheet, then it becomes much easier, as well as what Karthik has done with the action in action part. So action, unintelligent inaction can also be something you're watching like a Netflix, all these TV shows that people watch, and they watch all these murder mysteries or whatever. Like, I've seen people in the US, these real life stories where people get killed, and then you get more confused, more fearful. That is a form of unintelligent inaction where you're creating unconscious sanskaras. So Baba has said it very clearly in the chapter Action in Action that before you go from unintelligent action to intelligent action, you have to go through this phase called intelligent inaction, because that is where you come through the Baba literature, and then we start working on it, trying to imbibe that daily life. The second thing was basically I wanted to say that the violence non-violence chapter, there are 6 principles. So one is about non-violence, which are 3, which includes the non-violence of the coward, and the other one is the violence part, which are 3 principles. Now, when we are using those principles, we should be cognizant of the fact that we should try to read based on what. Because today morning when I was reading it again, I said, like, if I just read the terminology, selfless violence, and so on and so forth, it's then it just becomes like a rote learning. But if we anytime when we quote a particular principle of violence or non-violence, let's try to use that, extend it to the based on what, then it will make much more sense. That is number one. Number two is how to relate both violence and non-violence principles to the action in action, intelligent action in action, and unintelligent action in action. And the third part is, of course, action has to do with sanskaras. So we have understood what is responding or unwinding sanskaras, or reacting or spending sanskaras. So that also, if you try to relate to these principles and the action in action part, as well as give real life examples, I think then all these 3 chapters will make a lot of sense. Jai Baba.
Great. Any questions, folks?
Jai Baba Karthik.
Yeah, Khalid, go ahead.
Yeah, 3 incidents just come to my mind. So I just wanted to share with everybody.
Sure.
Not incidents, basically 3 situations.
Mhm.
Situation 1 is a person, irrespective of the conditions within or outside the house, he goes to the place of worship to worship or to offer his praise. Situation 2, a patient is in pain on the hospital bed, while the doctors and nurses are just merry-making amongst themselves or talking and not attending to him, which is quite common in our country today. And situation 3 is asking your sibling or your or the younger one or your child or somebody, not to go out to play but to sit and study. So these 3 situations just came to my mind while we were doing this chapter of action in action, relating it to violence, non-violence. So I just wanted some input, if somebody can give me on these 3 aspects, where is it action in action, where is it violence or non-violence? Just to clear up my sense of absorption of these 2 chapters. If anybody can help. Jai Baba.
So let's take one at a time. So the first one is the person, irrespective of what's going on at home, which is probably a lot of stress, a lot of whatever, good or bad, is going on at home, but he ensures that he goes to the place of worship. Anybody, what's happening here? Action.
Actually, it depends whether he is escaping his responsibility or he is so surrendered to the God that he has such a firm belief that the God will take care of the rest. And so it's just depend on the intent actually.
Context.
Yeah, in the
So if it
context,
is a
that is,
yeah,
he is a lazy or he doesn't want to face the actual reality that he is being exposed to and going to a temple as an escapist, then that is inaction actually. So he has to take charge. What is his responsibility, ordained responsibility, and do it.
Sanjay ji, Baba has
Yeah,
also said, if I recollect that,
yeah,
properly, that do your worldly duties.
yes, that's what.
So even if he is surrendering, so
Yes,
it not be inaction of his worldly duties. Will it
yes,
not
it
be?
will be. I mean, these kind of
that's what
situation
Sanjay
would
ji is
be at
also
a very,
saying.
very high planes actually. But
Okay.
normally mortals who are not in the planes, the first principle will apply.
So I just want to add,
And Baba has also scolded many people and asked them to return back to their families who wanted to leave everything and come to Baba. That several examples are there.
But as a general case, Sanjay ji, what would be your input? As a general case,
Yeah,
uh, worldly life has many aspects to it.
right.
Uh, Leaving it unattended, irrespective, as I thought, irrespective of the situation at home and outside home. If we just, I wouldn't use the word escape, we just go for the prayers, whether it's surrenderance or whatever. Is it
Yeah.
like, what Baba would appreciate?
No,
Okay.
that's what my reading is. Baba would expect us to attend to our duties and keep him in our hearts. And Baba
That is not
has, I think,
hindrance.
never, remembrance and love for him. Baba has never recommended to go to a place on a particular time to do certain kind of thing. Though we are, as a regular practice, we are matching our prayers at 7 p.m. But that's not something which is Baba has given. You must pray at 7. There's nothing like that.
Thank you, Sanjay.
That's what my understanding is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any others? Any other
yeah,
contrary opinions? Any other additional
uh,
comments?
Jay,
Why is
Jay,
everybody silent today?
I think that let's take an example. Suppose you're a single person, not married, and you're living with your mother. Your father is no more, and the mother is not well, and she needs 24 by 7, caretaking, where you have to be in her presence or be in the house. And suppose you're a very orthodox religious person who goes to the temple, church, or mosque every day at a particular time, and but here you have a situation which is what you have been doing for the last 40-50 years, but now here you have a situation, you have been conditioned, you have been going to this temple every day to pray at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock for an hour, but when your mother is sick and you have to be there. So the point here is that, am I going to give more importance to my worship to God, which we can call it as surrenderance or whatever, or obedience, or am I going to do my responsibility of taking care of my sick mother who needs 24 by 7 attention? So here is a contextual situation where you need to use your Vivek and Vairagya. So naturally, when you're reading this chapter and understanding sanskaras and action in action, you realize that the right kind of action would be, you don't have to go to the temple, you just be with your mother and do your duties and responsibilities as per the first postulate of my wish. So it has to be very, very contextual, intelligent. That is why Baba calls us at CIA conscious, intelligent action. Jai Baba.
Great. So, any others? Any other comments? Hey, nice to see you, Sherry. Jai Baba.
Karthik, can
Nice
you
to
hear me?
see you.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba,
Yeah.
everyone.
Welcome
Jai
back.
Baba, Cherry. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Uh, Ashok, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I just have my wish in front of me only. And as Kama has said, I was thinking on the same lines. Number one is do not shirk your responsibilities. And the second wish also is relevant to get the context. That attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but always keep always at the back of your mind that all this is Baba. So I think what Baba has said in time and again is that if you have certain responsibilities and worldly duties. I think the word duties is of significance. Then I think we should first attend to that uh, diligently and without any dilemma. This is what I wanted to highlight. Of course, it's contextual and each has to take his own decision. But uh, and one more thing is that in several places in discourses it's mentioned that just rituals or some routines for the sake of routines are not desirable and can create uh, unwanted sanskaras.
Yeah, duties are like an opportunity, what I take it as duties are like opportunities towards spiritual advancements. So attending to duties, I wouldn't say duties, responsibilities on a priority. Really, it gives you uh, the advantage to enhance or to walk the path of advancement. Yes, thinking of God, we don't need to be at any particular place or at a particular time. Surrenderance is to me, within me, to myself. As Baba says that, I am in you, I am you. So it has to be surrenderance from within, call out to the supreme infinite power, from within. But priorities ought to be the duties and responsibilities, because I take them as the opportunities to further advance on the path. So that's my opinion on that. Jai Baba.
Yeah, I think we all echo that, Khalid.
Agreed. So we'll quickly discuss the other two cases. The second one, I forget. The third one was the kid, right? Keeping
Second
the
one
kid
was
away
the
from
hospital.
hospital. Yes, the casual and cavalier attitude of the staff when a patient is struggling on the in hospital. So what is happening here? It's unintelligent in action.
Yeah, unintelligent action, basically, that they are doing something else. It's not that they are just sitting and meditating and forgetting about their duties. So they are basically not attending to their duties. And
Yeah.
it's unintelligent action. You're doing the opposite of what you're supposed to do. And one more thing I just wanted to mention, which I forgot to say in the chapter on violence, non-violence, when we are looking at the principles, and last time we were discussing different examples, which example relates to which particular principle. So I want you guys to just look at violence, that is 3 and 4, which is on violence. The first one, non-violent violence based on unlimited love, and selfless violence based on limited human love. Now, I was also looking at the word love. Okay. Now, if you go back to non-violence of the brave, principle 2, it says based on unlimited pure love. And if you look at non-violence principle 1, non-violence pure and simple, it says based on divine love. So first one is based on divine love, which we know is seventh plane. Based on unlimited pure love, we can think of it as between first and sixth plane, possibly the gift of pure love from the perfect master. So based on unlimited pure love. And number 3, non-violent violence based on unlimited love. And number 4, based selfless violence based on limited human love. So I was wondering, number 3 could be also looked upon as based on unlimited human love. and number 4 as based on limited human love. Now, what is the difference? Now, number 3 says violence done solely to defend the weak, where there's no question of self-defense or of self-motivation. So based on unlimited human love, which means that this is an indirect, impersonal aspect. Suppose you're seeing two people fighting on the street for no reason, you go and stop the fight and tell them, hey guys, just relax. That could come under non-violence principle 3, non-violent violence based on unlimited human love, and selfless violence based on limited human love. Here it says violence is done in self-defense, when one is attacked treacherously with no other selfish motive, when one's mother's honor is on the point of being violated, and then when the nation's honor is at stake. So what we are seeing here in this one is the direct approach. It has to do with your personal touch. Something is happening to you or your family or your friend, you are directly involved. So it's a direct interference. Whereas in the number 3, which is an indirect form because they have no relationship. Suppose you see a kid drowning in the pool and you dive in and rescue that kid, you are actually doing non-violent violence based on and you hit the kid on the head because he's trying to drown you. Whereas if the father is trying to rescue the kid, he also has to hit the kid on the head so that he doesn't drown him. So that comes under based on limited human life. So that was my understanding of this. If you guys can throw more color on this, great. Jai Baba.
Quite honestly, Kama, I think there was quite a bit we heard in that. So I personally, I'm confused. I'd rather wait for the Excel, and then we take your sensitive points are very important. Obviously, you're drawing out something that's important. But maybe if we do the Excel and then get to it, it'll be better. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So before that, the last case we'll just do. And in fact, I was just thinking, maybe from a sequence of reading, obviously it's a touchy subject, but I'll go back to it. From a sequence of reading or appearance in the sequence in the book, probably action and inaction and then violence and non-violence would be a better way, isn't it? At least that's what I'm thinking. But I'll stop short of saying anything beyond that. So the third case that Khalid was talking about was the child, right, being restrained from going out to play. What else did you say in that context, Khalid?
Yeah, but instead of allowing him to go to play, you restrict him to be in the house or take up studies. So how do we look at it as, is it violence, non-violence, or is it, action, inaction?
It's highly contextual. Anybody? Somebody's mic went off. Yeah, Sanjay, go ahead.
Maybe intelligent action. It depends on what age the kid is and how the safety conditions outside are there. There are too many parameters, but most parents would do it as intelligent action, because if he has already finished his play time and he needs to study, he cannot be playing all the hours, So parents have to balance that for their kids. So, and they have to apply themselves. Otherwise, they fail in their duty to discipline a child and for his well-being and future and learning. So I think it is an intelligent action. But of course, it's contextual, as we all agree.
If
Yes,
if it was during playtime, and if
Yeah.
he's restrained and he says no, you are not to be playing out, we take the condition outside not to be not favorable,
Yeah.
the normal condition. But in our day-to-day life, we usually do this. You don't need to play. It's you should.
Yeah.
Now, age or the class or the standard of his education is secondary, but the parents or the elders here,
Yeah.
is it intelligent action or violence against the child?
No, I
See,
think
So
it is
if it is,
some context,
go ahead,
I
sir.
think
yeah, yeah.
principle selfless violence based on limited human. So you had asked two aspects to it, whether it's violence or non-violence, and whether it is intelligent action or unintelligent action. So in terms of the principle that we have here, what comes to mind is the based on limited human love, because it is your child. It will not come under principle 3, it will come under principle 4. Even though it is called violence because you are preventing the kid, it is a selfless violence based on limited human love. The second thing is the context of the situation. Are you not allowing the kid because the COVID is going on and it is going to physically or mentally affect him? Or if tomorrow he has an exam and he has not studied for it and he needs to study for it. So you have two options. You say you play now for 2 hours and then you study for 2 hours, or you say you study for 2 hours and then go play for 2 hours. So it is very, very contextual. The variables are, on a macro level, we can understand. We have to look at the environment and the situation of what you're saying, because every situation is unique and every unique situation has a unique solution. Yeah, Baba.
Yeah, I mean, these situations, as we contextual, because many parents force their kids to study because they have a status symbol kind of a thing, that even if the child is not that keen or not that intelligent, they force them to study, don't let them play, and because they need to give. My son has done 100, 98% or whatever, that kind of attitude is there. It's not just purely from the welfare of the child that he needs to grow and love for the child. It's also a hidden ego of the parents that force them to act the way that we are talking of. So,
True, Sanjay ji. Very
yeah.
true. Thank you.
Amazing, thought-provoking
Yeah,
examples,
yeah.
and I think it brought out
Right.
a lot of clarity on both
Yeah.
action and
Kids
violence.
become the pawns actually.
Yes. So others,
I have
any other? Go ahead, Ashok.
see now this question of cockroaches and insects. We all have to use uh, chemicals uh, to kill them or to avoid spread of cockroaches in the house. So the question is that will that be amounting to because we are killing uh, insects and cockroaches, and or supposing we do it with the conscious that no, we are just doing it for the cleanliness of the house and we keep our house clean and away from foodstuffs and wash our dishes, and we just do it once so that okay, we don't want to spread disease. So what will you classify that as a uh, non-violent violence or violence, and whether it is intelligent action or unintelligent action? This is the question for discussion.
I think it is an intelligent action, but it will be a more intelligent that if you can get away from them without killing them, if the mosquitoes that we kill, if there is a way that without killing them, if we are can save ourselves, I think will be a degree higher than there will be a gradation, of course, in everything. So I think that would be better.
Yeah,
I would think.
indiscriminate use of force will be bad, and
Yeah.
overuse of force will be bad. But
Yes.
I think otherwise it's just intelligent action.
It's okay. Yeah.
Because you're doing it for the larger good,
Yes.
right? So that's there. But
Yeah. There is an incident in Ahmednagar. There was a Sevas, I think, sometime in 50s, where there were a lot of ants on the ground that was to be used for the darshan program, and people were perplexed whether to kill them and Baba allowed some kind of a chemical to be sprayed so that the ants die and do not bite uh, the visitors or his lovers. Yeah. Jai Baba.
good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Larger good.
He allowed that.
Larger
Yeah.
good and comfort. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other examples from anybody else? Thank you, Khalid, for those three scenarios. It was an assignment, if you remember. So, any others with scenarios?
All the examples are very contextual and say at each point of time we need to take an intelligent say decision. So otherwise we cannot put them into categories so easily. And the last point, as we discussed, maybe Jain philosophy has a lot of weightage towards non-killing. They go to the extreme, I think.
Yes.
Mamaji and everybody, I just wanted to highlight that, I had asked this to my Jain Sadguru, or let's say, the Jain priests. And what he said is that when you are killing, say with that, you are conscious that I'm doing it for general hygiene and cleanliness. And secondly, keep your house so clean that it does not attract you to do this thing second time. Wash your dishes at night. Don't keep food stuff which can attract insects and uh, cockroaches. And also in terms of our ecological balance, we should not attempt to kill insects and uh, living beings, not only just from the religious point of view, also from the ecological balance. Because if human beings have to survive, insects should be there. If you kill all insects, human beings will be extinct. This is one of the ecological
but then
inferences.
It cuts both ways, right? I totally agree with your ecological standpoint, but then it cuts both ways. The food chain also gets an imbalance if there is more of one type. So it's a balance that has to be maintained, right? There'll be too many locusts if you don't go after them. There'll be too many ants if there are, and so on and so forth, right? So it's a delicate food chain balance that we have to protect. But I think the key to add to what you said from on the words of your priest or master in the Jain side is discourses prescription is also very useful at that point. It is basically use the provisional working ego and offer it to Baba, right? So say that this is Baba doing this. I'm doing this violent. I'm not doing this violent act, and obviously that's another option. Like you said, minimize the exposure and more and offer it to actually see yourself as Baba doing that act. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Any other scenarios? Very bad homework compliance.
No. With this scenario, what we have seen now, what is the sanskaric load or the type of sanskaras that we attract or dispel by doing intelligent work? That is really perplexing, and I don't think we escape every time. Even if you do intelligent action, you attract some amount of sanskaric load. So that is what keeps the chain going, so that we will have multiple births. That is one of the reasons. So you can't stop this. You can over a period gradually reduce it. That is the understanding we should have from this. Hey Baba.
Yep, absolutely. And the principle that we can apply here is one man's inaction is another man's action. One man's violence is another man's non-violence. And I say that in a very broad sense, right? And that's where context comes in, and that's where the sanskaric load can get impacted positively or negatively based on what you do. So it's literally up to each one of us, and maybe be guided to do the right thing every time, right? And not add to the load. Yeah. So if there are no more scenarios, I'll probably go to those two things that I wanted to do. One is, I think I have the visualization I've created. 1 second. Yeah. So the 5 cases in the first chapter, right? So if you classify those 5 cases, this is what we saw that was there in each one of them, and it's there in the chapter. So I just visualized it. That's it. So if you take the case of the aspects that are classified are, was there a use of force or not, right? Then the second thing is consent, and consent is basically more relevant in the cases where you go after the target with violence, right? The third is whether there is hatred, that is inherently the person performing the, indulging in the violence has hatred or not. And then there is the last one is intent to cause harm. Finally, there is a goal. What is the goal of that action? And finally, you categorize it as categorized by Baba, right? So that's what I've done here. I hope I've done this right. So please carefully go through this with me one by one. So first we have the drowning man, right? In the case of the drowning man, yeah.
Your last thing, intent to cause harm. Just an observation. Instead of harm, can be used the word hurt, because harm is very macro in
Sure. Good point.
I think
sure. Good point.
Yeah. Jai Baba.
And
sure.
Other was hatred and self-interest, actually. So either it could be clubbed in the same, or
that's a good one. Yeah,
That's also
hatred or self-interest.
self-interest could be in the same. Yeah.
Yeah, good points. Both are very, very relevant. I'm noting that. So so let's just go back to the first case. So we have the case of the drowning man. The drowning man is basically hitting the heads to make him unconscious. So obviously there is a use of force. Is there a consent? No. Obviously, he's already drowning. Is there hatred? Obviously not. Is there an intent to cause harm? So, in a sense, yes, right? Because it's, or should it be no? Because he's not trying to harm the individual, but it's actually to protect him, right? So, should we say no harm there?
I think
Yes,
that
it
should
should
become
be.
two.
Should be no.
Yeah, it should be no, because if you are going to, like in the next one, surgery also, when the doctor is cleaning up a wound, the kid is crying, there is a form of violence, because you have to do that.
So let me go and
It's only a
edit it.
provisional word Baba uses, so it's only a provisional harm.
Correct.
Yeah.
So let me actually edit real time so that we fix this now. So hold on. Did it open up? Yes. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the Excel sheet that I used. So if you, so the two feedbacks, intent to cause harm or in self-interest, right? Okay. Actually,
That
it's
was
two
in the
categories,
hatred.
right? No, I
That
think
was
it's
in the
two
hatred.
categories. Yes. No, but I think it's two things, right? Sorry. It should be in hatred.
Yeah.
So hatred or in self-interest. No, but I think it's better to put self-interest as a category itself, isn't it?
You can do that.
Yeah, I think that's better now that I think about it. So let's do that. Rest. And then there was one more feedback
Hurt.
that we had.
Harm, hurt.
Harm
Cause hurt.
or hurt. Hurt. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So
And
in
then
self-interest, you are
this.
saying whether it is personal or impersonal form, See, when
What
you
is
are
that?
doing something, I said when you are talking about self-interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it is a personal thing, if your kid is drowning or if your kid is not having, good clothes, you're buying clothes for that, that is a form of self-interest, right? It's a personal.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
you call it two columns, personal or impersonal, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was coming from a context of self glorification. Actually, if I am doing something
is
good for
ego
self
driven.
ego driven.
Mm,
So
mm.
in that sense, I was coming. You are bringing another context. Yes, that's also
Yes, that is also relevant because
that's also relevant.
in the case of the mother and in the case of the mad dog, yeah, it's personal or impersonal, right? So
we
yes,
can
Sanjay.
term egocentric or ego creating.
Yeah. Let's park. So I'll make a note of all those things: impersonal or personal. That's one. Ego driven or ego effacing. That's another one. And I mean, let's not rush into adding categories here because I just went literally word for word and picked up categories as it is in discourses, right? So Baba says consent, so I put consent and so on, right? So, but I will validate each of this again with the text and then come back with a revised version. But let's go to the next case, right? So surgery. Is there a use of force? Yes. Is there consent? Most likely, unless the person is senile or already in a very bad state, right? So we can put yes. Hatred. Is there hatred? Absolutely not. Is it in self-interest? It's no. Is there an intent to cause harm? So if you look at it in the broader sense, it's no. But there is some hurt, right? There is some pain that is caused, right? So I think the answer is
Karthik, that classification, why do you use the term intent? Intent is not going to hurt. Is there harm done or not? That
Yeah,
you can
permanent harm basically. Permanent harm. There is a
no.
temporary harm there,
So I'll
but
tell
for a larger
you why I
good, so it
used
is
the word
permanent harm.
intent. I'll tell you exactly why I added the word intent, because if you go to the cases, in fact, specifically the word intent is used. So I'm trying to find it here.
Intended to protect. This one only. Comments on case surgery.
Comments of surgery.
Intended.
Since no harm is intended, the application of force does not amount to violence, right? Is this what you're talking about? I think I'm trying to find another reference as
There's
well.
one more just above three lines above also intended is used. Above.
Okay.
No, come down. Comments on case surgery only.
Okay.
Just 4 lines.
Intended, yeah.
Intended to protect.
Intended to protect. Yeah. No. Intent to cause harm. That's the exact words I saw. Need for okay.
No. If that is the logic, then everything becomes except
yes,
for.
It becomes yes, yeah. So
You'll
if
have
you
to
put it
into.
as if you put it as hurt, then everything becomes into, right? Because everywhere there is some violence or some hurt.
Yes.
Except the last one. Except the last one, right? So that's a good point. So let's see if this hurt, harm to be rethought. Rethought with reference to the book and each of the scenarios. I mean, I'll park it again there. Aggressive nation, use of force, yes. Consent, no. Obviously, I'm going and fighting with somebody. Hatred. Now, this is a tricky one. The true nature of the way aggressive nation, I mean, non-violent violence should be is there should be no hatred that I have for the aggressor nation. In fact, I'm teaching them something, and I'm only focused on the protecting the weaker nation. But I was not sure, so I just put a question mark. But I think it should be no hatred. Do you all agree?
In terms of what is written, it is, we agree, but in real life, it could be contextual.
Yeah, so for the guy with the arms in his hands, he has to have some level of hatred and be able to go and kill, right? But I think actually there may not be any hatred if you actually do it purely in selfless, non-violent violence. So that's why I was struggling with that. So then
No,
you
there is
have
no.
Seeing
It
the
is about
force
the
protecting the
No, you have to-
the weaker nation. When we are protecting a weaker nation against a mighty nation, so there is some amount of love for the weaker nation.
correct, no doubt.
So in that
is
case,
given.
the opposite love comes as hatred. So maybe yes, we could say that there is hatred in my observation.
Well, if you
Yeah,
look
this
at the
debate-
reference to the weaker nation, then it is love. If you are going to fight the aggressive nation, that is hatred. But if you don't have both, you're just saying, I'm doing my duty, I have to protect this particular nation or this particular person who's helpless, who's being harassed or something. It all depends on the motive. I think we are now, if you are going to add too many variables, it will get very
I know.
confusing.
I
would say
totally
that
agree.
just stick
One
to the
minute.
six principles. Then second is to the action in action part. And third is find out whether it's winding sanskaras or unwinding sanskaras. Spending sanskaras, because there is no more winding sanskaras. There are only two variables in sanskaras. One is unwinding sanskaras and spending sanskaras. And then we have the different kinds of action in action. So let's try to keep it simple, not get too.
I know. Too many categories. Yeah. No, that's why I stopped short adding any more. This is quite a few already. Pashmina, you were saying something. Was that something you were saying, Pashmina?
You're on mute, Pashmina ji.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you cannot do any aggressive act without having some aggression in your mind. You have to be at the level of Baba to do both the things. For normal people, if you want to become aggressive, you have to have aggression in mind. But वो aggression को control कर सकते हैं हम और judicious थोड़ा कर सकते हैं with meditation and other things.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. At least for a temporary phase, you have to wear that.
You have to have hatred.
Yeah.
Yes.
Josh, as we call in the.
So here it's surely not a case of self-interest and then intent to cause harm. Yes, if it is just the pain or violent. And then you have the good of the target and the weaker nation. Now I'll tell you the key part here. There's even good of the target. That's a secondary result. So I should put it the other way around. Good of weaker nation. And then the target. If you look at what Baba says, he says that it is also going to help the nation spiritually. Brings out two aspects. One, there is a spiritual ethos that probably the nation carries as well. And two, the fact that you are a subject of violence can also be something that teaches you something, right? So I think that's an interesting observation I had. Then you have the mad dog.
Jai Baba, Vipul.
Jai Baba Vipul.
I just wanted to say here in aggressive nation, just
Mhm.
taking case of Myanmar. Let's say
Yeah.
India, wants to create peace over there
Mhm.
and invades
Mhm.
the ruling junta. So there is
Mhm.
no hatred against the people. Am I right? There is no hatred. There is no hatred against a community. There is only good intent to weed out the wrong elements and let the fairness be established in the society.
So, but there needs to be some amount of hatred towards the military junta to be able to exert the force and actually uproot them. That's the point even Pashmina made a couple of minutes back, right? So that's debatable. I understand what you're saying. So it goes back to having too many categorization and trying to mathematically analyze everything, right? So so we'll have to relook at this at the number of categories, and maybe I'll request Kama to do this offline, and then we can brainstorm on this and finalize it further. But then your point is taken.
Jai Baba.
There is no hatred when Indians are going and helping them, because I'm doing it for the target. I mean the good of the target, but there has to be some use of force, which means there has to be some anger and hatred on that target of the use of force.
Thank you. Jai Baba.
Sure, Jai Baba. So if you take the case of the mad dog, yes, there is a use of force. Is there consent? Obviously, no. Hatred on the target, no is what I have put, but it's more, it's again debatable here. Is it in self-interest? It is not, right? It's in larger good. And intent to cause harm, it has to be there, without which you can't kill the dog. And then the goal is good of the impacted others, the kids that you're trying to protect. And the categorization is violence without hatred, right? Then you go to the last one, which is non-violence of the brain, where there is no use of force. There's obviously no idea of consent then. Is there hatred on the target? No. In self-interest? No. And finally, is there an intent to cause harm? No to that as well. So, and the goal in the non-violence of the brain is to convey the gospel of love, right? So you just convey the message and make the point powerfully without doing anything, right? So that's
Hatred on
non-violence of the
target
strong.
is yes here, Karthik.
Wrongfully you have hatred.
Hatred on
Put
target.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that.
sorry.
Yeah, by mistake. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, by mistake. So that is this one. And now we'll go to the other one that was very nicely put together by Ashok. Let me open that up. Ashok, why don't you share your screen? I think that's better.
Okay, I'll do that.
You open it up and show. Yeah, because you can walk us through it. Yeah. I have a copy. If you want me to walk through opening it here, I can do it as well.
It's easier for me to do it. And let me just
Sure, go ahead.
confess. Let me just confess that whilst I read this violence and non-violence couple of times, what I have done is work in progress.
Indeed. Much appreciated effort. Please go ahead.
Everything is WIP.
Even
our own reading itself is the work in progress. So don't worry about that.
They're all uncut diamonds. What Baba keeps saying that, right?
This is all the Baba family. So I think, okay. It's opening up. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
We can see but can't read.
I'll increase the font. 1 second.
Okay.
No, you don't increase the font. Just increase the zoom. Yeah. Perfect.
Can you all see
Little
now?
more as well.
More?
Little more as well. Yeah. Make it 150.
You'll have to move the screen. Yeah, but that's
that's
all right.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Is this fine?
Yes.
Is it readable? Okay. Let me just tell you the rationale behind this. Taken it from the chapters of non-violence and violence, and there are only two categories of non-violence mentioned there, and these categories are in green, if you can see on the columns C, D, E, and F. And there is shades of green because in terms of the goals which it achieves, and also the creation of sanskaras, or some sort of a gradation is there. So that's why we have principles 1 to 6. Principle 1, non-violence, pure and simple, based on divine love, is the most desirable, and it creates no sanskaras, or it creates zero sanskaras. And this is really a stage where we all wish to achieve or reach. Okay, so here on the top is the headings from the discourses, and the color has been used to depict violence or non-violence. So non-violence is in blue. Non-violence is in blue, and violence or non-violent violence or categories of violence are in red, so that we can distinguish. So this is all 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 are all taken verbatim from the discourses. So I'll just read through. And this is from the part 2 of the discourses. On the side, I have put some comments for reference, but it's taken from the part 2 or the second chapter of violence and non-violence. So shall I read through all if you'll agree with me, or so principle 1, here one sees all as one's own self is beyond friendship and enmity. Never under any circumstance does a single thought of violence enter one's mind. And non-violence of the brave.
Just Ashok, sorry to interrupt. So can you show us all the rows that you have, just so that we
okay
keep it in the mind? Yeah. Because you have quite a bit, right? So one you have. Show us A and B, please.
So, okay, rows.
Yeah. Just tell us what the categories are. So.
Okay. So basically,
one is motive behind the action. Okay.
Motive and action. Then the right intention. No, just ignore that. Right intention, right process, right execution. This is basically thought, words, and deeds. Kama had really gone through this, and this is just some notes I had done there. Part 2 is is trying to see that. I'm just trying to categorize it, like, in categories like non-violence of the strong, non-violence of the brave. These are terms taken from the discourses only. This part from the discourses, what a classification based on what is mentioned in the discourses. Thereafter, I was attempting to link it to whether it is creating or unwinding or winding sanskaras, or whether they're good or bad. Actually, I had done good and bad, but then it also emerged that we should see whether we are creating or we are reducing our sanskaras.
Awesome.
So,
awesome.
The one in blue, that is this blue box. The principle 1 is a very desirable and very difficult. Not many can reach there. That involves being on the 7th plane of involution, and to correlate it with the action and inaction, which paradigm which we had just seen. So it's actions springing spontaneously, God realized being, or ASSGSB as our acronym expert Kama has led us to. And this is beyond unwinding sanskaras. So that is something I just noted here. So this is the stage principle 1 of non-violence. further, I've gone down and tried to also see whether what type of action. So this is intelligent, conscious action, state of perfection. Very, very, very few can reach this, and this is the best form of non-violence. These are my comments. I'm open to editing, and here the main attribute is divine love. So these two parts, please bear with me, are not from the discourses. These are my interpretations. Of course, divine love is mentioned, but I've just done it for my own. And this is also my remark, ultimate goal of life. So all these three parts are personal observation. Right?
Ashok,
yes.
The Excel sheet is very awesome. You need to circulate. We need to study it in total detail, all the aspects, and then discuss, I think. Otherwise,
definitely, Mamaji.
Yeah, so I'll request him to put it on team. Put it on the team files, but let him walk us through, so that obviously, as you rightly said, we have to spend quite a lot of time
come back to this once again.
Yes, obviously. Yes. Sure, makes sense.
Yes, Mamaji.
Go ahead, Ashok.
Suggestion taken. This was a work in progress, but anyway, I'll put it on.
I've already saved it, so you can, if you're making changes, you can save a later version there. I've saved the current version, what you sent me on email already.
Okay, do that. This is the same version I'm discussing.
Sure.
Second principle is non-violence of the brave based on unlimited pure love. Okay. This applies to those who, although not one with all through actual realization, are with a capital, consider no one as their enemy. They try to win over even the aggressor through love and give up their lives if attacked, not through fear, but through love. The most important word here is through love, because they're trying to do it. And where fear and love are the opposites. Like we'll see in an example which came that there's a distinction between action because of predominantly by love and action done predominantly by fear. And this is the non-violence of the brave. It's already there. And here,
actually, the screen is not moving. If you're moving it, we are not seeing a move. Namita, go ahead. Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Yeah, Namita, go ahead.
Yeah. Can you stop sharing, please? 1 minute.
Okay. I'll stop sharing. 1 second.
Okay. Now, can you say something?
Wow. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Now, I don't remember the universal prayer. Can someone read it?
Oh.
Okay.
I
Guru
can read
Prasad
it.
Memorial. Yeah.
Should I read it?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Mama.
Anybody?
Universal prayer. O Parvartigar, the preserver and protector of all, you are without beginning and without end, non-dual, beyond comparison, and none can measure you. You are without color, without expression, without form, and without attributes. You are unlimited and unfathomable, beyond imagination and conception, eternal and imperishable. You are indivisible and none can see you but with eyes divine. You always were, you always are, and you always will be. You are everywhere, you are in everything, and you are also beyond everywhere and beyond everything. You are in the firmament and in the depths. You are manifest and unmanifest on all planes and beyond all planes. You are in the three worlds and also beyond the three worlds. You are imperceptible and independent. You are the creator, the Lord of lords, the knower of all minds and hearts. You are omnipotent and omnipresent. You are knowledge infinite, power infinite, and bliss infinite. You are the ocean of knowledge, all knowing, infinitely knowing, the knower of the past, the present, and the future, and you are knowledge itself. You are all merciful and eternally benevolent. You are the soul of souls, the one with infinite attributes. You are the trinity of truth, knowledge, and bliss. You are the source of truth, the ocean of love. You are the ancient one, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parameshwar. You are the beyond God and beyond God also. You are Parabrahma, Allah, Ilahi, Izdan, Ahura Mazda, and God the Beloved. You are named Izad, the only one worthy of worship. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Avatar
Baba.
Meher Baba ki Jai. Thank you. Okay,
Jai
if
Baba.
you want to say something to Baba, you can. You can do some intelligent action here now.
Yeah,
Jai
that
Baba.
goes in the heart. Pashmina ji, this place is in Pune. This was a place where there was a palace which belonged to the Maharani of Baroda. And after Baba dropped his body, this palace was offered to the trust to be maintained, but trust could not do that. So ultimately, this was demolished, and there is a housing complex there. But the furniture and the doors and the windows and other things which used to be used by Baba in that building has been converted into a memorial hall where Pune Baba lovers assemble and do their kirtans and. So that's how it is. Just to introduce you what we are connecting here.
Jai Baba. Thank you.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
Go ahead. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
We will be able to do something at my place also. When COVID is over.
Yes. People assemble in his love. They travel far distances and do. You can call Navsari Baba lovers, you can call Baroda Baba lovers, and that always can be done. A Baba program can be arranged. Mumbai people can also come to Bharuch. That's not very far.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be
So let's see if it happens. Let's hope Baba will make that happen. Yeah. Jai Baba.
yeah.
Yes, Baba willing, it will happen.
Yeah.
Okay. What I was thinking now, Karthik and everybody, I was thinking that I will share this there's only 4-5 minutes left. I'll share this on the Teams, or you would have already shared it there. And I'll request others to correlate the chapter on violence, non-violence with sanskaras and action, as suggested by during our discussions, and also as highlighted by Kama. Because ultimately the objective is to correlate the chapters of discourses, and so the God speaks is the string, and the discourses is the beads on the string, which can give us a comprehensive, holistic view of and takeaways. So that was that is the intent of this discussion. But in that Excel sheet, you will find that I've also mentioned some of the examples, and it is subject to edit, like what Karthik did, and we can improvise or edit, modify, rectify. Karthik, are you there?
Ashok, one suggestion. So right now, let it not be edited by others. Let it be as it is, as you have presented. They can suggest all the, say, editable things.
To me, yes.
The discussion later, it can be incorporated, I think.
Valid observation taken. Good
Okay.
suggestion, Mamaji.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I was not sure if I'm being heard. So I just wanted you to. So basically, you've taken the six categories. I mean, the six principles as columns, and have the rows making up the aspects, ending with sanskara. Is that correct? So is everybody clear on that? Because that's important when you get the file to be able to internalize and spend some time on it. We'll start tomorrow morning with a continuation of this discussion. I'd request you, Ashok, to just keep your file as read only on the Teams. So that way everybody can see it, but nobody can edit it except
Okay.
you.
So I have to
just make it.
I have to post it on Teams as read only.
Yeah, on the Teams folder, just make it a read only for yourself, and keep the editable work version in your local to
Okay. Yes.
pick up on what Mamaji said.
So,
And when we are working on it tomorrow collectively, like we did today, you can make the updates as you get consensus, and then upload the final version online. And of course, all of this needs to get to Trello so that it goes as files into the individual cards, so that it's useful and linked back, so that people can get to it when they want, right?
So I don't know about Trello, but or Karthik,
yeah, we just add it as an attachment. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Me and Kama and you can probably huddle later today.
Can I request you if you could post this on the Teams? I don't know whether I can have the ability to do it.
I'll do that and send a link.
So yeah, and thanks to everyone for having a look at it, and really it'll be helpful to everyone in the Baba community. Hopefully everyone is hearing me. Can you hear me?
Sure. We can hear.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
So I think this is meant for everybody's absorption, and संजय जी गाना गा रहे हैं क्या?